Apple iPad mini expected November 2012. It's been rumoured for a very long time, but Apple have now finally announced the Apple iPad mini, a much more compact and cheaper alternative to Apple's traditional tablet lineup, and one that might spell serious trouble for Android tablet manufacturers. At the basic end of the range, the iPad mini costs just $329 for a 16GB Wi-Fi only version, compared to $499 for the equivalent full-size model. At 308 grams, the iPad mini is less than half the weight too. The display is a 7.9-inch 768 by 1024 pixel panel, which is the same resolution as last year's iPad 2, although it isn't as high resolution as the third generation iPad, but then it isn't really necessary in a display of this size. Inside is a dual-core A5 processor, probably similar in performance to the iPad 3. On the back is a 5-megapixel primary camera with a 1.3-megapixel one on the front for FaceTime calls. The design of the iPad mini is a little more like the iPhone 5 than previous models of iPad, with a similar black and white silver colour scheme. At just 7.2mm thick, it is also much slimmer than the competition and a little lighter as well. One other iPhone 5 style feature is the Lightning connector, which can now be attached to an optional SD card reader. Most customers will be able to choose between the cheaper Wi-Fi only version or one of a pair of 4G LTE and 3G capable devices that add $130 to the cost, with the top of the line 64GB cellular version coming in at $659. LTE is turning out to be a bit of a mess, with all sorts of frequency bands that manufacturers have to support, but we do know that Apple intend the iPad mini to work with AT&T, Verizon and Sprint in the US, and EE in the UK, and a number of other carriers worldwide. If your carrier doesn't support LTE yet, then the iPad mini also supports HSPA+ high-speed data too. Should Android tablet makers be nervous? Perhaps. Even though the iPad mini is significantly more expensive than the rival Amazon Kindle Fire HD and Google Nexus 7 devices priced at $199 in the US, much of the sales success that Android have had in this market segment is simply down to the fact that Apple haven't competed in the 7-inch tablet market before. The Wi-Fi version will launch in most major markets on 2nd November, with pre-orders starting on the 26th of October. The cellular versions will follow a few weeks after that, presumably making it to retailers just before Christmas. Overall, Apple still dominate the tablet market, and the iPad mini, along with the newly announced 4th generation iPad, will make Apple very hard to beat.